Huge thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. I just spent the last 10 hours letting multiple different AIs attempt to run a space program with the one singular goal of landing on the Mun, and it went about as well as you'd expect. Welcome to the Clanker Space Program, a KSP career mode save where every decision is decided by artificial intelligence, which I will be referring to as the Oracle. The Oracle must make hard decisions that will be the difference between life and death for these green frog things. Now, allow me to lay out how this is going to work. First of all, rockets will be entirely designed by AI, and I'll get more into that later. Secondly, since this is a career mode save, the stakes are much higher. The Oracle will be making all of the decisions as far as what science nodes to unlock, what contracts to take, and what kind of missions to go on. And if the Oracle kills all my Kerbals, destroys our program's reputation, or if it blows through money like me at a Taco Bell drive-thru, then we lose. And lastly, the goal is to have all flights automated, but it takes a while to unlock all of MechJeb's automation features. So until then, I'll be flying them manually. And do your boy a favor, just drop me a sub, please, it helps me out so much. Okay, that's enough yapping. Let the clankering commence. We are immediately presented with our first obstacle. How do we go about creating rockets with AI? Well, when you're building a rocket and click the save button, a file is then created in your KSP save folder. We're going to take this .craft file and then feed it into AI. The AI will then read the code of the .craft file, learn its structure, and then hopefully be able to recreate it and generate a new rocket, which I can then place back in my save game and then load into the VAB, thus fully automating rocket creation. Although in my preliminary test, this process is responsible for many game-breaking bugs and straight-up crashes, but that's half the fun, right? Anyways, I wanted to start off incredibly simple with Chatgpt. Instead of going whole hog and asking GPT to make an entire rocket, I just had one simple request. Take this rocket that I've already created and just add one parachute to the top. I added a Mark 16 parachute to the top of your pod and fixed the vessel type. All it had to do was add one parachute onto an existing ship. I downloaded the .craft file, I placed it in my save folder, and there is no parachute. Unbelievable. You didn't even do the one thing. Okay, well, you know that can happen to anybody first try. I told it that it did not add a parachute. GPT said it was sorry, and that it had remade the craft properly this time. I loaded in again, and it crashed my game. It literally crashed my game trying to open up. And this process continued for quite some time. Try 3 had a parachute, but it was on the ground for some reason. Try 4 crashed my game again. So I assumed that maybe some of my mods were causing issues with GPT. So I had to uninstall every mod and load it back into base game KSP. It looks absolutely hideous. The next 2 tries crashed my game again. My game's about to crash. Yep. So being on the verge of a mental breakdown, I decided to try a different clanker and see maybe if it was just GPT that was being stupid. So I loaded up Grok. Okay, we have the clanker.craft here. We have our nice, respectful message to Grok. After waiting for 4 whole minutes for Grok to cook up my .craft file, this is what I was left with. Is this the file it cooked up? This is ridiculous. I could write this in less time. Grok, being an absolute disaster, only left me with one choice. I was getting desperate, and I had to resort to Google Gemini. I booted up Gemini, held my breath, copied the file into my save folder, and then loaded up the rocket. This worked. Do you see this? We have a parachute. Oh, but it's kind of bugged though. Unbelievable. After multiple real-life hours, I finally got an AI to put one parachute on top of my capsule. And with this success under our belt, it's finally time to begin constructing real rockets. Hey, and while the Clanker Space Program has been nothing but pain, let's talk about something that's actually fun to play. And that's the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most complete and comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. And right now it's actually free on PCs, consoles, and even mobile devices. War Thunder now has a brand new mobile version available on iOS and Android, allowing you to decimate your friends from anywhere that you have access to internet. Immerse yourself in the action-packed combat of War Thunder, where the realistic graphics and lifelike sound effects put you in the pilot seat of the most dangerous machines ever created. Join a worldwide community of over 95 million players and engage in epic PvP battles. piloting one of 2,500 planes, tanks, helicopters, and ships, ranging from World War I style biplanes all the way up to modern fighter jets and main battle tanks. And these vehicles don't just have simple health bars. Every single vehicle is painstakingly modeled down to its individual components. Engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and even crew can all be damaged and disabled when you're under fire. And this is my favorite feature. The game has an X-ray mode. In X-ray mode, if your vehicle is damaged, you will see exactly how the shell penetrated, which parts got blown up, and what led to the destruction of the vehicle. Check out War Thunder completely for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or your phone. Oh, and here's the best part. Console and PC players who are new or haven't logged in at least 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack on consoles and PC that comes with 100,000 Silver Lions, 7 days of premium account, premium vehicles, and the exclusive vehicle decorator, Eagle of Valor. Don't miss out on this limited time offer and use the links in the pinned comment or in the video description to sign up today. Big thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. And now, let's hop back in.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So now that we have a rocket to launch, the Oracle suggested that I snag the first mission to launch our first vessel. So I did. Then I placed the Clanker Mark 1 on the launch pad, and 6.5 minutes into the video, I have finally have a rocket to launch. So, liftoff. And Passvoid had some thoughts on this achievement as well. Look at this majestic rocket. I collected a crew science report, which was really the only science I could collect at this stage in the game. Then, I blew up. And one more time. Luckily, these two launches were just a simulation, so Goober Kerman locked in and was sent back up, this time in a much more horizontal orientation. Okay, so I'm falling down and deploying chute. If this doesn't work, I'm about to crash out. Oh yeah, okay. That's a successful flight, Goober. Our first ever mission was a total success, and netting us 11.7 science, bringing our total reserves of cash all the way up to $136,000. The Oracle then suggested that we pick up basic rocketry and engineering 101, and get back out there in the launch pad to collect some cheesy launch pad science as well, just enough to unlock survivability. We then consulted back with the Oracle to have it design us another rocket. I guess we gotta send it, right? Here we are on the launch pad. Launch. It exploded on entry, but Goober did not. Okay, so the Clanker 3 wasn't really an improvement over the Mark II. In fact, it went even less far somehow. But I think we gotta pick up the pace a bit, because I really need to start progressing. The Mark IV had a few more fuel tanks, but was completely bugged out on the launch pad. The Mark V was also bugged out on the launch pad. Mark VI and 7 couldn't even load. The Mark VIII was functional and sent us up to around 20k meters and then landed safely. The Mark IX was looking good, except for this little gap right here. They see this gap and think that there's something wrong here. If you could take your rocket and put your entire arm in the middle of it, there's probably something wrong. I don't know why, but Gemini loves adding a gap just somewhere in the rocket. The Mark IX did actually make it up into space though, and even landed successfully, netting us some science and money.
Here comes the money.
At this point, the Oracle was getting kind of good at this, and we decided to begin a new generation of ships, the Rust Bucket Mark I, this time featuring a functional second stage. It got into a suborbital trajectory, and collected some science too, before landing safely. The Rust Bucket Mark III was a huge iteration, adding in an extra 500 Delta V, and some fins for flight control too, although they weren't all placed in the right direction. It reached a full orbit, as well as getting us crew reports and mystery goo from outer space, and even high orbit around Kerbin. But sadly, this was the pinnacle of our space program, and things kinda just went downhill from here.
Because I'm all out of money!
After the Oracle advised us to upgrade a couple parts of the space station, it created the Rust Bucket Mark IV, which was a notable downgrade. Allow me to demonstrate. Let's just do an overview of this new rocket, shall we? We're starting off at the bottom. We are missing a fin. We have a hole between the engine and the fuel tank. Let's go up a little bit. There's another hole, right, between these two stages. The decoupler is clipped in to the Terrier engine above it. Then we have another gap between the Terrier engine and this fuel tank. And then above that, we have a gap between it and the heat shield. And then Gemini decided to put the inline reaction wheel underneath the capsule instead of on top below the parachute. This is what we got. Now the Mark IV, while terrible, did allow us to make a new first in the Clanker space program. We performed a spacewalk. Goober Kerman has successfully completed the first spacewalk in Clanker space program history. But only after I crashed 47 times trying to figure out how to use MechJet. Back in orbit, fuel reserves were running a little tight, and we only had 140 meters per second to land. But thankfully, that was all we needed. Just came in for a shallow re-entry, and let our heat shields handle the rest. We did land in the city though, and that was kind of cool. He's about to land on the green blob, or the gray blob, and touchdown. Now this is where everything started unraveling. I had a grand plan to carry out a series of Mun missions, but Gemini could not figure out how to make a ship that had decouplers. Which is a very serious problem, because boosters are like the best way to get extra Delta V. I tried so many times, and each time I sent out the ship, the boosters just wouldn't decouple or were bugged out in some other way. And little did I know, every time I was sending out one of these test rockets, my money was just getting lower and lower and lower until we're broke.
Bankroll!
Much like a college student who blew through their allowance on OnlyFans subscriptions and DoorDash, we had to go back to the drawing board and restart from the beginning.
In the beginning, in the beginning, yeah, in the beginning.
Okay, so just being real, I probably could have begged the Oracle to get me some more contracts, that could get me a cash advance, and just try to struggle along for a little while longer, but I ain't going out like that. So we're going back in again, and this time with one minor change. Having the Oracle directly write the code was terrible. I'm so tired of restarting KSP and staring at this loading screen every time I try to load in a rocket. So instead, GPT is just going to give me the instructions and I will build it exactly how it specifies. I know this is a bit different than what I said earlier, but
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
And thanks to the power of editing, you won't have to watch all of the boring parts. I'll just catch you up to speed on everything important. First of all, we added in a whole new roster of Kerbals, each one of them ready to sacrifice their lives to the Oracle. Then we revived the Clanker program and sent up several of these. The Clanker 1 went up and down. The Clanker 2 had more gas and went horizontally. The Clanker 3 crossed the Kerman line and went into space. The Mark IV was also suborbital and collected some more science. The Mark V got into a full orbit, and we spacewalked again for the first time, but also the second time. The Mark VI also did a full orbit, except it landed in the desert. And just like that, we're back to where we were. Now asking the Oracle how to proceed, the Oracle suggests that we begin a new program and start conquering the Mun, and thus was born the AI Apollo.
We choose to go to the moon and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hazardous and dangerous, and there's fucking aliens. Thank you.
The AI Apollo Mark I was a bit of an interesting design, although GPT was very excited to get started. AI Apollo begins, 2 Kerbals, Mun flyby, full science hall, safe return, no funerals on stream. Kinda funny how it added that last part in. The first part of my rocket was going fine. It had science and 2 Mark I capsules. It wanted a coupler in between them, which was some pointless extra mass, but nothing catastrophic until this. Attach capsule A radially to the fuel tank of the transfer stage near top. Oh no. This is a terrible idea. The Oracle actually suggested that I radially attach the second capsule to the side of the fuel tank. This ship would have been completely unstable, so I tried it anyways. I couldn't figure out how to attach a command pod radially, so instead I asked again, and then it decided that we could just stack them on top of each other. The AI Apollo Mark I was a decent rocket, although it was balanced incorrectly due to the way it wanted me to add mystery goo to the opposite sides of the capsule unsymmetrically. So we didn't end up going very high, just barely suborbital. After correcting these issues, the Mark 1B was created. It had a much easier time ascending, and after getting into orbit, sitting at only 1200 meters per second, we made the executive decision to send it out anyways, and made the journey out to the Mun. We got out and collected an EVA report in high Mun orbit, collected some cinematic shots, isn't it a beautiful view? And then commenced the flyby. Not having access to maneuver nodes yet was a bit of a problem for me though, and I just had to guess the most efficient way to return. But thankfully, I was able to get back into orbit around Kerbin. This is terrible. This trajectory is the worst. This is the worst trajectory I could have possibly went on. I don't even think I have enough delta V to make this not suck. After that, I was barely able to burn retrograde and get back into the atmosphere too, with 38 meters per second, 1.56 electric charge, and a prayer. We came in for re-entry. Okay, we are no longer in an orbital trajectory. How are we heating up? How's our ablator doing? Our ablator is surviving. Looky there, you see this? Here's my upper stage. I did lose power during re-entry, but thankfully it wasn't fatal. And we got to read through rewards of this Mun mission, rocketing our space program all the way from the Dark Ages into the early modern era. We're now sitting at 145 science points and $540,000. Nice. The Oracle then spent some time confused with what tech nodes do what, and then it eventually advised us to collect fuel systems and basic science, giving us access to many new parts. With our money, it wanted us to upgrade the tracking station, and it also suggested that I grab this contract right here, and try to save a Kerbal from orbit. And after riding high from that successful Mun mission, I was ready to give it a shot as well. Apparently, Obrit Kerman was stranded in orbit and was in need of some help. All we had to do was create a rocket that was capable of collecting a Kerbal from orbit, and then save them. The Oracle then built a modified AI Apollo that had a Science Junior for some reason. We launched, got into an orbit, met up with Obrit, and he happily flew over to the rescue ship. Then we began descending back into the atmosphere, and all hell broke loose. Oh no, we've become a missile! We've become a missile! Take direct control! Oh no, we're not gonna do this. Ash! Save yourself! Deploy shoot! Obrit! Obrit, quick! SAS! Deploy shoot! My boy has no parachute. Looks like this may be the end for you. It's been a good run. May you rest in pepperonis. The craft tipped over during re-entry, turning our re-entry capsule into a missile. And despite my furious clicking, there was nothing that could be done. Obrit, having spent a long time in space, forgot to pack his parachute, and became the first casualty of the Clanker space program. He will be missed. But Obrit didn't die in vain, because we're going to continue with what he would have wanted to do, and plant Kerbal boots on the Mun, and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because there's fucking aliens. The AI Apollo missions resume with the AI Apollo Mark II. It was certainly one of the rockets of all time. This is going to be the longest rocket in history. Oh man, can we just take a second and appreciate the majesty of this rocket? The AI Apollo Mark II unsurprisingly sucked ass. But we kept trying to make more, and eventually the Oracle came up with a rocket that actually kind of worked, and we did another lunar flyby before returning safely. For the AI Apollo Mark III, I let GPT know that we needed some more Delta V and that the last rocket was way too damn long. At this point, it started cooking up some designs that I knew would suck, but I flew anyways. Like this one with a radially attached Science Junior module, and this one with 2 Science Juniors but terrible thrust to weight ratio. I'll skip over a lot of this trial and error because we eventually ended up with the AI Apollo Mark IV. It featured 4 boosters instead of 2. 1 inline Science Junior, and some batteries this time. It had a much better time of flying, and at this point we unlocked more of MechJeb's features too. So I was no longer the one plotting courses, making nodes, and executing them. This was all done by MechJeb's automation features. The Clanker space program was clankering harder than ever, and as we came into the Mun's sphere of influence, we really only had enough Delta V for his suicide burn. So there was no time going for an orbit or anything classy. It was straight down. And not being allowed to manually fly the rocket, I had to land with smart ASS. Okay. Good thing we landed on this fucking cliff. Good thing, right? We needed to land on this cliff. Cliffs are good. Okay. This is good. It's a good little slide here. Good little practice slide. Okay. Liking how this is going here. Okay. So, if I can read the contract again here. The contract says, plant flag on the Mun. And I really feel like we will be able to plant flag on the Mun. After planting our flag on the Mun and collecting tons of money, and taking a glamour shot on the Mun also, Kathy Kerman took the most ridiculous fall down the side of a mountain. Oh my god, dude. Who is this, Kathy? Oh my god, Kathy. You're really going through it right now. I'm trying enabling RCS. You hear this clicking button? That's the sound of me pressing the R key. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Every hit just hurts so much. Low-key, have you ever felt like this? I'm not even lying, I've actually fallen like this before. Me after a night out with the boys. And to my utter shock, she got up afterwards completely unscathed. You know, I was going to leave the video like this, but then I thought, you know what? We can't just leave these fellas in the mud. So I booted up GPT again and told it we had to do another rescue mission. GPT designed us another long boy, but this rocket was actually rather competent. Ash Kerman, our most veteran pilot, stepped up to the plate and began a mission to save his friends on the surface. He got into orbit and transferred over to the Mun and found a place to land nearby. Both Kerbals were ecstatic someone actually came to save them, so they flew over and got inside the rocket and then took flight. But this rocket ran out of fuel also. So it looks like we're going to need a rescue mission for our rescue mission. Unreal. The AI Apollo Mark 6 was then hastily constructed by the Oracle, this time utilizing our new Mark II capsule that can hold 2 Kerbals apiece. Because if you're counting, we need the capacity of 4 separate Kerbals during this mission. 1 to go open the ship and collect them, then to grab the 3 stuck in orbit around the Mun. We got into orbit, transferred to the Mun using MechJeb, rendezvoused with the first ship, collected everyone, and then transferred back to Kerbin, and began re-entry. I was really nervous about this capsule flipping again like the other one because this one had 4 whole Kerbals in it, but thankfully it entered in the right orientation, and the parachute even deployed, leading to a nice and safe landing. Yeah, well, at least 2 of them survived. Oh yeah, and thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. And guys, make sure to use my links to check them out and play the game completely for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and mobile. Remember, for a limited time only, PC and console players who are new or haven't played in at least 6 months get a huge bonus pack on PC and console. That gets you 100,000 Silver Lions, premium vehicles, and 7 days of premium account. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate everyone who stuck around to the end of this video because I know it's a longer one for me, but I worked really hard on this video, more than I ever have for a video before. So please leave me a like and drop me a sub if you enjoyed it, and goodbye.